Well, Razorback fans, it is official. The SEC will be adopting a 9-game football schedule moving forward. What's that going to look like? And who's it going to be for the Razorbacks each and every year? Let's talk about on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday as we finally made it to the weekend. A mere 8 days away, Tyler Wilson days away from Razorback football kicking off. I mean, just imagine a week from tomorrow. We have football, Razorback football. I mean, the college football is going on this weekend anyways, but still very exciting times and a lot of reasons to be excited if you're a Razorback fan. We're going to talk about one of the moves that was made just a couple days ago about Arkansas football and some of the concerns that I have, as well as some about the atmosphere here in Fayetteville for Razorback football games. We'll get into that as well. But the big news coming in from the SEC is that we will have officially a 9-game SEC schedule in college football. Now, here, I'm just going to put up the official graphic here, so that way you all know what it looks like and what it's all about. Starting in 2026, it will continue with a single standings, non-divisional structure, so still no East and West, which is not really surprising. Each school, now this is where it gets interesting, each school will play 3 annual opponents focused on maintaining many traditional rivalries. Each team's remaining 6 games will rotate among the remaining conference schools. Each team will face every other SEC program at least once every 2 years, and every opponent home and away in 4 years. It just means more from the SEC. So here's the thing about this particular deal. It's not surprising. This isn't anything that's mind-blowing or it's just like, oh my gosh, we didn't expect this at all. It's something that has been needing to happen, in my opinion, and now it finally got developed. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have so many deals with the college football playoff coming up, the possible expansion there. I think it has to do with money, as we all know, maybe what coaches have wanted, maybe what athletic directors wanted. We know Hunter Yurchek's all in favor of it too, but this is something that seemed to be inevitable. It was just a matter of when, not if. So I like this. I like the fact that you're going to have 3 permanent opponents and then 6 rotating. I always hated it in the divisions, and I'm glad they got rid of divisions, mind you. I know some of you wish you could still have SEC West, SEC East, but for me, I was glad the divisions were done away with because there was just no way, shape, and form that you should have to wait 20 years to play on the road against an opponent in the East. Just because of the setup for the schedule. There was just no reason for that. So I'm glad that they moved away from divisions and then adding this into the mix. It's going to make scheduling a lot easier, a lot more beneficial, a lot better. It's going to make it for, timing is going to be big. But if you're a Razorback fan, for instance, this is going to be about the schedule setting up for success for you. Because as we know, I've complained about it, you've complained about it, coaches complained about it. We have complained about the schedule that Arkansas seems to get each and every time and how ridiculous it is and how it seems over the top and how it's all dumb and it gets screwed, blah, blah, blah. This is going to set it up a little nicer for Arkansas. And it's never going to be perfect, but it's going to be at least a little bit more maneuverable for the Razorbacks. And it's really going to come down to this because, again, as it was mentioned, you'll play every opponent every 2 years. And every opponent at their place, home and away, every 4 years, which is great. I love. But let's be honest. It's going to come down to, all right, so who are the 3 opponents? Who are the 3 opponents that every team is going to face? This is the ultimate challenge for the SEC. They mentioned they wanted to keep the rivals and the traditional rivals and everything like that. But there is no way, shape, and form you're going to make everybody happy. There's just no way. And for a team like Arkansas, I think that there can be a great game that everybody wants. There's going to be a team that you have to play that you don't want to play. And then there's just going to be a wild card in there just to be honest. Because you also got to think about it when some of these teams who have big rivals, they could end up having a brutal 3 games every year. But hey, it's not your problem, right? It's only their problem. So we're talking about the Razorbacks specifically here. So let's talk about the Razorbacks. Let's get it out of the way. You're playing Missouri. It's going to happen. There's no way around it. Missouri is going to be one of your permanent opponents. I don't like it either. You don't like it. But we just got to start accepting it. It's the way it is. The SEC is not going to look at you and say, well, let's take Arkansas's teams into consideration of who they'd rather play. They're not going to do that. Missouri wants to play you, and you're just stuck. As I've always said, it's kind of like having when you were in school, having all the kids pair up, and then there's an odd number in the class, and you get stuck with the kid you don't want to be around that smells. I mean, that's just the way it is. So you're getting Missouri. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. Now, the other 2 teams, though, I know. Let me backtrack a little bit. There's going to be one team that I think is going to be up in the air, but there's another team, this team, that I think is a guarantee. You're getting Texas, Razorback fans. You're going to play Texas every year in football. The times that I've had a chance to talk and sit down with Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, one of the things that has always been brought up was about the traditional rivalry and the history between Arkansas and Texas. It's always been brought up. This is something that is respected by Greg Sankey. And, say what you want about him or about the SEC or anything. That is one of the most appreciative things that I've had for Greg Sankey in the SEC than anything. Because you know how easy it would be for someone like Sankey or anyone in that position to look at Arkansas and look at Texas and then hear all the time about, well, Arkansas is like, well, we have this history with Texas. We want to play Texas because Texas doesn't care about playing you. But you say, hey, we want this, we want this, we want this. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And the commissioner in the SEC is going to be like, oh, yeah, that's cute, whatever. We'd rather have Texas play somebody else, somebody that we want, that we feel like will be better for them. Like, they could easily do that, and you'd just be out of luck. You wouldn't have anything to say. Just be like, well, the SEC doesn't really care about us. But that's not the case. The SEC does care about this game. They do care about the history. And that's why I am as confident that you are going to be playing Texas every year in football. And you're going to just have that home and home with them. It's just going to be historical. It's going to be traditional. It's not going to be like the end of the year, like final game, because that's reserved for Texas and Texas A&M. But it's going to be respected. And I think that that's big. So I would bet my house on the fact that you're going to get Texas and Missouri every single year. Now, the third team that you would end up playing and having as a permanent opponent each and every year, that one's the one that can be up for, honestly, I could see this going a few different directions. But I believe it's going to be between LSU, Ole Miss, stay with me on this, Oklahoma. Okay? Oklahoma. Here's why. The LSU one is obvious. It's the Golden Boot. It's a rivalry, if you want to call it that, but it's something that's been around for a bit. Arkansas and LSU play each other a lot. They're connecting in states. Like, it would be something that's there. The only reservation I would have from that is that LSU is a hot commodity team that I'm sure a lot of people want to play. Like LSU and Bama, they're going to want them to play every year. LSU and Ole Miss, they're going to want them to play every year. LSU and Florida has, ironically enough, developed a rivalry. They want them to play every year. What about LSU and Oklahoma? Was there some history? LSU and A&M, what about that? So the point is that LSU is going to have a lot of options. There's going to be a lot of teams and a lot of people who want them to fit in. So I just think it could happen, but I'm not feeling as confident. And then you have the Ole Miss Rebels, which Ole Miss to me is a very likely, and the one personally that I would prefer the most if it was going to be that third team. Because Arkansas and Ole Miss, you talk about history and random craziness. We don't know about all those games. We know about the 7 overtime game, about the Hunter Henry Heave game, all the different madness and chaos that has been caused between these two opponents anytime they get on the field. It's that way, and it's been established. And I think that there's a lot of cultural similarities. I think that there are a lot of fans, like, for instance, some with the Little Rock game no longer going to be around. Playing in Oxford is not that far. Was it 3 hours away from Little Rock? And so there's going to be some people that may make that trip, and Fayetteville and Arkansas could be kind of, having a pretty good showing, a pretty good presence there. But to me, I think that one would be the one I would enjoy, the one that would make the most sense, but the one that I would enjoy the most. And then finally, the Oklahoma angle, because some of you are probably saying, well, John, what about Texas A&M? And sure, I guess so. But I don't think that, again, me personally, I don't think that the SEC is going to say, well, Arkansas, you just get to play both Texas teams. I think they're going to try to spread that out a little bit. Wouldn't be against it if they decided to choose Texas A&M, but I think that would be a little bit on the nose. The reason I bring up Oklahoma is because of this particular reason. I would love it if it was Oklahoma. I think Ole Miss would be my number one, but I would love it if it was Oklahoma strictly because of proximity. It would be so nice to have an SEC game every year that both schools on their campuses, not just in the state, but on their campuses, is a day trip away. Like if Arkansas played Oklahoma at 2:30 in the afternoon, folks, you could, if you lived up in your Northwest Arkansas, I know it's difficult from other places, but if you lived in Northwest Arkansas, you could wake up at a decent hour, drive over there, go tailgate a little bit, watch the game, get done with the game, come back and be home at a decent hour. That is a very rare thing, especially for Arkansas. Arkansas does not have that luxury with any team. I think it's 5.5, 6 hours to Columbia, Missouri. I think it's, to Oxford from here is about 6 hours to there. It's College Station's really far away. Austin's really far away. So when it comes to having just a short, nice little trip, Arkansas and Oklahoma would be ideal. And honestly, with the other side looking at it from Oklahoma, Oklahoma and Texas are going to play each other every year for sure. But besides that, does Oklahoma have any other rivalries? Like, do they want them to play Missouri every year? Maybe. Texas A&M? Maybe. But besides Texas, it's kind of open. So I feel like that would be an opportunity, in my opinion, and one that would make sense proximity-wise for Arkansas to play Oklahoma every year. So if I was to have my druthers, if it was up to me, okay, let me take that back. I think the most likely scenario is going to end up being Arkansas playing Missouri, Texas, and Ole Miss. I think that's the most likely. The Ole Miss game, I would listen to the Oklahoma deal. I would listen to the LSU deal. I'd listen to the A&M deal. But to me, it's Texas and Missouri for sure, and the third game's up to debate. So we'll see what you think. But either way, I'm glad. I'm glad that they're doing this. I really am. What I'm not glad about is seeing an offensive lineman have to move to the defensive line, like Arkansas is having to do with Keyshawn Blackstock. I'm going to explain why. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, we're brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you the deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling for your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or just ready to crown your Super Bowl champion before week one even kicks off, mind you, this is your moment to do it. If you want to take a flyer on the MVP race, check it out. Maybe you're thinking it's going to be a Lamar Jackson. Crown your champion in August. Maybe it's going to be your favorite NFL team, even though it'll probably end up being the Chiefs again because it's really boring sometimes. Or parlay your division winner dark horses, who you think is going to step up and be that team that makes some noise. Do it with the FanDuel app and visit it today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. This is something that actually happened a couple of days ago, and just to be honest, I already recorded my Locked On because I had some things going on Wednesday night, and it was really announced. Eric Meese made official on Wednesday night at Sam Pittman's Catfish Hole show that he does. I think it was like around 7:30. But I decided to bring it up here because I think it is a big deal. And it was Keyshawn Blackstock. Keyshawn Blackstock, the Razorback offensive lineman who was a transfer from Michigan State and has been on the offensive line. He started in some cases. He played a good amount in some cases. Well, Sam Pittman announced that he was moving him over officially to the defensive line, specifically interior defensive tackle. And then they're just moving him over there. Now, here's the thing, is when I talked about this on Inside Arkansas, but also when I first had the inclination that this was happening, I immediately was like, this is bad. This is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's not. Okay? I'm not being negative. for the sake of being negative. This is just not something you want to see yourself in. And I'm not using this as some sort of blaming Sam Pittman and this is just all disastrous all over the court. But this does mean something. It's not a nothing burger. It does mean something. You can look at the glass half full, the glass half empty. Some people are saying like, oh man, this just goes to show how much depth they have in the offensive line. Okay, sure. But I'm choosing to look at it from the perspective of this is bad for the depth of the defensive line. Because, folks, it would be one thing if the defensive line had like 4 or 5 guys get injured. And then it's like, crap. What are we going to do here? Well, we got to find somebody. Let's move Keyshawn Blackstock over. Like, if that happened, I would honestly just be like, okay, well, hey, that sucks. But, that you got to do what you got to do. That would be my approach to it. But that's not the case that's happened here. Now, sure, you had some injuries. I think David Oki is a guy who's out, but they should expect him back. He's not out for the season or anything like that. I know Cam Ball's been dealing with an injury, but he should be good to go. So it's not a matter of, oh, well, we just need some guys because we don't have enough numbers. No. This is strictly we don't have the guys that we thought we did stepping up. We are in a desperate situation of getting quality depth on that side of the ball, especially in the interior. And we need bodies. So let's look at the offensive line. What do we got here? Okay, we got a guy that's in his final year who lost his starting spot, it looks like, to Kobe Branham. Hey, how about you? You want to get on the field? This is your best chance to do it. Play defensive line. Great. Now, I hope Keyshawn Blackstock goes over to the other side of the ball and dominates. That'd be great. I'd love it. Cheer him on. I would even praise the coaching staff for saying, like, hey, that was the right move. Great job. But I cannot look at this and just immediately put on my rose-colored Razorback glasses and be like, this is fine. This is good. No, this is totally fine. It's actually a good thing. Because you probably asked to get over there. He probably was just all about it. No. We have heard time and time again throughout fall camp that the defensive line has not been where it needs to be, that they have been waiting for guys to step up that haven't, and that there is a problem with the depth on the interior. That's not made up. That's not just, pulling things out of your rear end. That's what we have heard time and time again. There's been consistency there. As I've said, this fall camp is like an investigation. It's an investigation into what is going on to the program. And then when you see some evidence of things, you put it all together. And there's no doubt, and there's nothing you can do to convince me otherwise, that this move was made because Keyshawn Blackstock looked so good on D-line, or that, hey, just the offensive line was just so stacked that they needed bodies over. They had too many bodies in that room, so they decided to bounce out. This is strictly we need depth on the D-line and the interior because we have had guys not step up. And that's problematic. That's scary to me. It's very disappointing to me, too, because they have had some guys over there in the interior that you felt, and I felt like maybe could be stepping up right now. Hey, this is your time to shine. Grab the bull by the balls and step up. But nobody did. All fall camp. No one did. That's alarming. That's problematic. And so, is this the end of the world? Does this mean that Arkansas, now suddenly when I got this news and I'm like, I'm changing my predictions on Arkansas right now. Is that what I'm saying right now? No, not at all. Not in any case. But again, am I going to be someone who just looks at this and be like, no big deal, totally fine, totally normal. It's good. It's good stuff. It's totally fine. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So we'll see how it plays out, man. We'll see how it plays out. Again, I'm hopeful for it, but sheesh. This is not really a good start on that front. So either way. Tell you what, though, Arkansas, will they have an electric atmosphere at home this year in football? Let's talk about it. Stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I got to tell you about our friends over at Rugiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra and Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in about 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, and you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. You know, if traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer, because over 150,000 men have already made the switch, and they can tell you it works. The fact that it's completely online, Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. So head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's rugiet.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off today using promo code LockedOnCollege. That's rugiet.com/lockedoncollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So I'm bringing up the atmosphere here in this situation. I want to see what everybody thinks, because we talked a little bit about yesterday about the field storming and how the new rules got put up, which, okay, sure, whatever you want to do. And it made me laugh for the most part, but still, again, I get it. But we had some fun with that, but there's also going to be something from last night with some of the press conference and some of the players talking about they're ready for the season to start. They're ready for the atmosphere to get crazy because they know it's going to get crazy for Arkansas and all of this. And I'm like, okay, I like it. I like the confidence. I like the way you're thinking. I like where your mind's at, all that good stuff. Well, somebody asked me, they're like, man, how are we going to have an electric atmosphere with Notre Dame at 11 a.m.? What's that going to be like? And then by the time we get any other home games, the team will have already lost a bunch of games, and it's not going to be as fun, and da-da-da-da. And, I immediately kind of just laugh at that because, I get it. I really do. I get it. But, I think that Arkansas can and will have an atmosphere this year. I'm hopeful for it, man, because, the people are still going to be excited about the football season. And all it's going to take is just a little bit, That Notre Dame game, regardless of the results of what's happened, the atmosphere is going to be electric. Now, is it 11 a.m. and does that suck? Yes, it sucks balls. I get it. But that's not going to keep anybody from not coming to the game. Like if you were going to the Notre Dame game no matter what, or if you had said, hey, we saw it on the schedule, we're going to go to this game, and then you saw that it was at 11 a.m., I sincerely doubt you're like, you know what, we're not going anymore. And if you are one of those people, it's a very few thing. Even in Arkansas, they have few games before that. They got to go to Ole Miss and to Memphis. So they could be 2-2 going into that game. And even if they are, which would suck, but even if they are, I still think the atmosphere is going to be great. I still think there's going to be a lot of fans there because it's Notre Dame. It's like playing Duke in basketball. It's like even if your team's not good, it's still Duke. You got to see it. And this is historical because I promise you that, I can't say I promise because it's ever changing in the atmosphere of college athletics. But my point is, this is probably not going to happen again, playing Notre Dame in Fayetteville. It's probably not going to happen again. So there will be an atmosphere. There will be energy. There will be excitement. Is it going to be as cool as a night game? Maybe not. But it's not going to be a funeral either. Well, let's hope not. This could be over really quickly. But that would suck. Let's just hope that's not the case. But either way, I think it's going to be great. I think Arkansas is going to have an atmosphere. I think it's going to be fun to have football season finally here. So let's get there. All right. Let's get there. Let's have some fun. And let's get it going. Appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, and we'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Actually, no. Monday afternoon. It's the weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you then.